And he is one of the most widely read political commentators and by far the most read in our state. And now he's here with us to share a new memoir that he's written about Alabama's rich political history. Steve Flowers is with us today to tell us about his latest works of Goats and Governors. 6 decades of Alabama political stories is out now, and 6 decades. You've seen a lot, haven't you?
Well, I'm barely 6 decades, but I've been around it for 50 years. I started paging in the legislature when I was about 50 years old, 12 years old. Excuse me, Jamie. And this book is a compilation of all the political stories that those of us who've been around it for a long time have heard. You know, the South has the richest political history of any region in the country, and we in Alabama have a rich and colorful political history. And what I try to cover in my book, Goats and Governors, 6 decades of colorful political stories, are stories about Big Jim Folsom, George Wallace, Howell Heflin. They did comical things. It's almost like Tennyson said, facts better than fiction. You can't make this stuff up. They did and say it. And these are stories that those of us who've been around a while have heard. And I've got new ones. I've got, Jim Folsom Jr. gave me some good ones about his father, and George Wallace Jr. gave me some about his daddy. And so we've got some good stories in here. I think it's a fun read. And
you focus a lot on the governors. There's a lot of other lawmakers that have funny stories, I'm sure, that we were talking during the break about. But why are you focusing on these people in particular, and particularly the governors in this book?
Well, they're called Goats and Governors because of the allusion to Goat Hill. The capital is called Goat Hill. But also, I've analyzed every governor's race, Jamie, going back to 46 when Big Jim won the first time. And I tell folks in layman's terms kind of why they won and what the campaign was about and that sort of thing. It's a great book for political junkies. I think people that like politics will enjoy reading it. It's a lot of my friends. I'm on a book tour now throughout the state. As you talked about, I was in Randolph County and Jacksonville, and I've been in Coleman and Jasper. I'm in almost every paper in your viewing area. And I'll be in Hamilton today at noon at the library from 12 to 2. Very
cool. So a lot of funny stories that you're telling in this particular book.
And they're true. Yeah, you can't, like you said,
you can't beat that, right?
Big Jim was such a gregarious guy. I started off to tell the stories. He was a giant of a man. He was 6'9", wore a 17 shoe, and he was just totally uninhibited. I think folks will find the read a fun read.
Awesome. Okay, well, you've covered governors, and I'm sure that you're following the presidential race very closely. I have to ask you, first of all, Trump is doing really well in the state of Alabama. What are your thoughts on that, especially with some of his comments that he's made?
Well, he's doing well throughout the country. It's been a real surprise to me. I wrote him off as a gadfly when he first started. It's sort of a comical character, but he's doing well in the polls. Now, it remains to be seen whether he stays in that position he's in now. But right now he's doing well. It's just a term. The thing is so exciting about the whole thing, Jamie, we're going to be a part of it for the first time with this early SEC primary, with us being one of the 6 or 7 southeastern states that are going to have an early primary March 1st. It's right around the corner. We're already seeing candidates here. Saw Trump in Mobile. You saw Carson here yesterday. Jeb Bush is coming in today, I think.
So it's having a big weight on, of course, an influence on people of Alabama. Okay, tell us really quickly how people can find your book if they're interested.
Well, obviously it's online. It's all the bookstores carry it. Goats and Governors, 6 decades of political stories, and you can go at steveflowers.us on my website and get it. New South Books, but it's available. A lot of folks get things on Kindle and Amazon now.
Awesome.
It's getting a good view on that.
Definitely check it out there. And Steve Flowers, thank you so much for joining us today. A pleasure to have you on. Stephen.